Academic texts are not meant to be read through from beginning to end. A quote from anyone who's tried to read an academic text from beginning to end. It doesn't work this way. When you're reading a long, complex text, there are other ways to go about it. Academic literature is pitched at an academic audience who will likely already have an understanding of the topic. Academic texts can be complicated and difficult to read, but you don't necessarily have to read every word of a piece of academic writing to get what you need from it. Let's take a look at strategies for reading academic texts. These strategies may also be applied to other forms of academic writing, and in some cases, even to non-academic sources of information. We'll ask ourselves why we're doing the reading in the first place before examining the typical structures of an article, from abstract, introduction to conclusion, and consider the best route through. We'll also take a look at the best strategies for reading. Why we're reading the article or text will inform how we go about it. If we're after a specific piece of information, we just need to find that information. There's no point reading every single word. Ask yourself, why am I reading this? What do I want to get out of it? What do I already know? How will I know when I have read enough? Well, what are we reading it for anyway? Maybe we're reading an academic article or similar text for fun or for our own personal enlightenment, in which case we'll probably want to savor every word of it. But more often than not, there are other factors at play. We read to update knowledge on progress in a particular area or field of study, to find a solution to a specific problem, to understand certain fundamental aspects, concepts, or theories, to find support for your own views and arguments, to impress others, or because the article or the text has been assigned to you by your tutor, your teacher, and so you've got to read it. Okay, some reading strategies. Well, when you're reading, you don't have to read everything with the same amount of care and attention. Sometimes you need to be able to read a text very quickly. There are 3 different techniques for reading. Scanning. This is looking over material quickly in order to pick out specific information. This is also called reading for detail. Skimming, reading something quickly to get the general idea, also called reading for gist. Close reading is reading something in detail. You'll need to use a combination of these methods when you're reading an academic text. Generally, you would scan to determine the scope and relevance of the piece. You would skim to pick out the key facts and the parts to explore further, then read more closely to understand in more detail and think critically about what is being written. These strategies are part of your filtering strategy before deciding what to read in more depth. They will save you time in the long run, as they will help you focus your time on the most relevant bits. Okay, the route through. Well, as we've seen, you don't need to read every word of an article to get what you need from it. Academic articles are pretty much always split up into sections, and these sections tend to follow a fairly consistent pattern. Skipping around these sections rather than reading them in order allows you to evaluate the article more quickly, helping you decide how much you need to read in order to get the info you require. So, first you would read the title and the abstract, the introduction or the summary at the beginning. Then skip all the way to the end and read the conclusion. Moving on from there, then skim and scan through the whole body of the text. So first the beginning, then skip to the end, then read through the middle. You might read the title, the subtitles, and subheadings to find out what the text is about. You should look at any illustrations to give you more information about the topic. Read the first and last sentence of each paragraph. Don't read every word or every sentence. Let your eyes skim over the text and look out for key words. And while you're doing this, continue to think about the whole meaning of the text. All right, let's try building some skills here. Skimming. Choose a page or a chapter to skim. Step 1. 2. Read just the first sentence or just the first and last sentences of each paragraph, keeping an eye out for proper nouns, dates, and unfamiliar words. So these are like keywords and dates. Step 3, write these words down in a notebook or journal to help you with comprehension later. Step 4, when you have read first and last sentences of each paragraph, go back and read the entire page or chapter, reading closely this time and noting important information as well as questions about the information in the text. So this is one activity you could try. Here's another. Step 1, pair up with a partner. Step 2, choose a text that is obviously too long to read word for word in 2 minutes. So set your timer for 2 minutes with your partner. Step 3, begin by reading the title and then tell each other what you think the text is about. Step 4, make notes about what you believe the topic of the text is. Step 5, next, read the first and the last paragraphs of the text and guess what the piece is about based on that information. Note how your idea about the topic of the piece changed based on the additional info. Step 6, now read the first line of every paragraph and make another guess on what the article is about. Step 7, finally, read the entire article in 2 minutes and again to see if your predictions about the content based on skimming matched the actual topic. So again, you're reading the beginnings and ends of things and skipping the middle to get a general idea of what the piece is about. Well, let's talk about scanning. What is scanning? It's looking over material quickly in order to pick out specific information. Let's try this first with some visual material. Where's Waldo? Let your eye skim over the page, right? You know how to do this. Where is Waldo? This guy has a striped shirt, but that's not Waldo. Oh, here's some strip, but that's not Waldo. Ah, there he is. So again, think about how your mind went about doing this. Let's try another. This one's a little harder. Skim, scan your eyes quickly over the visual, seeing where Waldo is. Aha, there's Waldo. So again, how can you apply this same technique to reading? Well, you're letting your eyes skim over the page quickly to pick out something specific, right? Just like you would with Where's Waldo? In conclusion, here's our summary of how to go about reading an academic text. Read the abstract, introduction, or summary at the beginning to get an idea what the text, the article is about. Scan the text for signs of relevance. Get an understanding of the scope. This is where you're just, scanning your eye closely, letting it read over the page, looking for any in-depth info, especially if your teacher gave you questions to answer. Skim through useful parts of the article, say the introduction, the conclusion, to get a flavor of what's being said. If there are any sections of interest, you read them closely. And always try to make a note of what you find and any questions the text raises. Okay, so again, you're not going to read through from beginning to end in order. You're going to skip around, letting your eye search for information, and also try some of these activities. And I do hope this helps. Thanks for watching.